We shall now step towards Limelight with Masuma. She is the hostess of this particular segment. Miss Masuma Papia is a makeup artist. She certainly beautifies us women at the studio as well as those fortunate women out in the world. Masuma ji has a magnetic personality, and here on the screen she displays her interviews with her invited guests. Let's meet her guest up close and personal, and I know her quite well, beautician Miss Marta Bota.
Hello everyone, good morning and welcome to Limelight with Masuma. I'm your hostess, Masuma Papia. Limelight with Masuma is a TV show focused on promoting and highlighting business owners, professionals, upcoming trends, and key social issues. Above all, it's a show about people from different walks of life sharing their experience, their passion, views, and expertise with us. So you've met my guest in our last episode, Marta Bota. Marta, we've talked about your successful career last time, and it was such a treat for me personally, and I'm sure it was for our viewers as well. Now, you're a philanthropist, and I really want to talk about that. You're actually actively involved in a lot of charitable organizations. So, first thing I want to talk about, and when I read up on this about you, I gained such a special respect for you. You're an ambassador for CHADD. CHADD. So for our viewers, what is CHADD?
CHADD is a national nonprofit organization in the United States.
Okay.
And it is an organization that supports, advocates for, educates people who are struggling with ADHD and their families. So it helps support to just help them get through their life, you know, to their full capacity.
So it's not just the person who's affected, you actually help their family.
Absolutely.
To kind of cope with it.
Absolutely.
And, oh wow, that's wonderful.
Absolutely, especially parents. They have webinars that they actually have, parent to parent is what their program is called, and they actually teach parents how to cope with different things and how to have strategies that help their children really perform well and really thrive in their life.
Yeah. So, and I know with ADHD, like culturally, I feel like sometimes we've always kind of ignored the topic. Like it is not a big deal, you know, but it is a mental illness, isn't it? Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Well, it's a disorder. It's classified as a disorder,
okay.
But it does come with sometimes comorbid mental health issues, such as anxiety, depression.
That's what I was talking about.
Right, so it can come with other things. So it's a complex disorder. So that's why educating yourself, especially if you're a parent, and also learning different management strategies. You know, it's not always about medicine, and that's something I have a network on Facebook called the ADHD Help and Hope Network that I actually help with, you know, a lot of information out there. I'm sort of like a resource. I let people know what resources are available, and I talk about CHADD a lot. I am an ambassador for them.
Yeah, when I was reading that, I was like, that's amazing, because in my family, one of my relative actually, and we never knew that, and we always thought this person's absent-minded, you know, and so I know something like that would really help people to kind of just look for the signs and how to react to it, or how not to react to it, I should say. So,
well, what most people find surprising is I have ADHD.
You do?
So, yes, I do.
No way.
So that's why I'm such an advocate for it, and that's why I'm on the CHADD's website as an ADHD champion. I'm on a page where there's several other, you know, there's different people in different walks of life, and we're successful in our careers, and you can be successful. You can overcome some of the challenges if you manage it properly.
Under the right guidance, like someone like you. That's amazing. And everything that you've accomplished with a disorder like that, and I'm sure you didn't let that affect you, because you put yourself first, and that's amazing. I'm sure those the organization's very lucky to have you as their ambassador.
Thank you. Well, it does affect me in many different ways, and I've just learned how to manage it.
Tweak
you know, self-awareness is key.
Sure. Yes.
And that's why when I was a contestant at the Mrs. DC America pageant, that was my platform: ADHD awareness, diagnosis, and treatment. And awareness is key, so that you can treat it properly.
Yeah, and we need more and more people like you out there telling their stories and telling people about it, so we're more aware. tell us about your advocacy work with the Foundation Fighting Blindness. Now, this is very interesting because I don't hear that a lot now these days. Why did you choose to work with this organization?
Well, at the end of 2014, which was during my reign as, you know, when I was running for Mrs. DC America,
okay.
towards the end of that year, it was discovered that I had optic nerve damage. And my doctor was a little bit baffled. She couldn't figure out what was going on. So I had a friend who was working with the Foundation Fighting Blindness, which is the organization that I work with. And she had put me in touch with the president, Davida Lours. She's the president of the Northern Virginia chapter of Foundation Fighting Blindness. And she connected me with a doctor. When I went to see him and got a second opinion, he had alerted me that I needed to have a surgical procedure done on my eyes.
Really?
Yes. So my optic nerve was being damaged by something called narrow angle glaucoma.
Okay.
And so my pressure in my eye was erratic and it was going up and down and it was actually crushing my optic nerve. So I could have gone blind.
Oh my goodness.
So
had you not had the surgery?
Had I not had the surgery. And the
Wow.
foundation was instrumental in getting me this treatment. So I just felt when I decided to run again for another pageant that I would focus on the Foundation Fighting Blindness. So I do
because it helped you,
yes.
and so you're a true example. That's amazing.
Yes. So I work actually with both organizations. I work with other organizations,
I know
but
you
those
do.
are my top two that I work with, and I'm an ambassador for both. So I do a lot of work with the foundation. They drive the research to find treatments, cures, preventions of diseases that can cause blindness.
And this is amazing because you have a platform, so you could actually share your personal experience. So people tend to listen to you more, I'm sure. That's amazing.
Absolutely.
So everything okay though now after the surgery?
You know, I still have issues with my eyes, so I have to keep up with it, and I have to see my doctor regularly, and and just make sure that I'm monitored. But it's something that I really try to get awareness out there that even if you have 20/20 vision, you really need to get your eyes checked
out,
because your eye health sometimes is dependent on other things that are going on in your body.
Right.
So it's important to keep up with at least annually getting your eyes checked.
And I think so many of us out there, we do kind of ignore the eye part of it. We pay attention to everything else, but this is one of the critical part of our body that we really need to get checked out.
And people take it for granted, and you think about how your life would be if you were in darkness.
Yes.
So.
And that's, for me, that would be the end of it. But because, but no, true. That's very true. We should get ourselves checked out. So thank you for sharing that.
Absolutely.
Now, you're involved with so many different aspects when it comes to helping people. Again, it was so exciting to read up on you about this, and I was just so glad you're coming. What about youth? Why do you think it's important to mentor them, especially? And I know we briefly talked about it last time, but I want to hear more, especially what's going on out there now these days. I just, for someone like you, again, with such a big platform, how do you reach out to youth? What is your message to them?
Well, I've had actually, through my work as Ms. Virginia America 2016, I've met a lot of people along the way that actually have asked me to come to schools to talk to students. So I have gone to several schools, and I think that's a great way to mentor youth. What I mainly focus on is how important it is to do community service. I think, today's youth can be a little lost. Parents are working, not paying as much attention to their children. The extended families sometimes live out of the state. They don't have a lot of big support from their families. And then social media. Kids are on their computers all the time, and social media is wonderful, but it can be, some kids cannot be ready for it. There's a lot of bullying that takes place. There's a lot of peer pressure that goes on. And so I think it's really important to be a strong role model and to talk to young people and get them to understand that, what their own value is. Kids can get caught up in all the images, especially young girls, all the images that they see on Instagram and think that they don't measure up. So I think it's really important to talk to the youth, to lead by example, to be a role model, to get kids involved in the community so that they can kind of get out of their own self and they can be a little less selfish, and they can see what it's like to help others, and that always is rewarding.
Oh, wow, it's so true. And what you mentioned about young girls out there, because you see all these perfect pictures, and most of the time they're just not real. A lot of Photoshops, but it affects young girls.
It really does. And something that I do as a makeup artist, I have workshops that I do with teens that I actually discuss all of these
That's
topics.
Amazing.
I talk about, you know, taking care of their skin, taking care of their health. I talk about practicing good habits as they go through their life.
Sure.
I talk about peer pressure, social media, and I talk about, because I have the experience as a makeup artist that has worked with so many models,
Sure.
the photoshopping that goes on, that the model does not even look like the image
sometimes,
at the end of the
yeah.
day.
And I know some photographers they're very real now these days. They don't allow their work to be all made up, but there's still this negativity out there where girls feel like, oh, I just got to look all contoured, you know. And I get that question a lot, contour my face, you know. And sometimes they need to kind of have that realization within themselves that no, you know, I'm bigger than that. So I think to hear from someone like you makes a huge difference, you know. So I'm so glad you shared that.
Thank you.
I always ask my guests this question. Excuse me. What advice do you have for not just women? I mean, in young men out there in terms of becoming successful, because you are such a success, and you've started your career 25 years ago. Things were different then, and you continue to keep that trend. And their personal and professional life, what would you say to them?
Well, it goes back to what I talked about earlier about ADHD. Self-awareness is so important in every aspect of your life. Know yourself. Know what motivates you, what drives you, what are you passionate about, and that can really be towards anything, whether it's community service, whether it's a career, whether it's your family. You know yourself and what it is that drives you, what motivates you, what gets you going. So to be successful, you know, if you find something that you're really passionate about, you're going to be successful at it, because you're going to be pouring yourself into it. So it's really about knowing yourself and what drives you,
and not trying to follow others.
Absolutely.
And I think a lot of times that's what happens with young people, you know, right after high school. They just think, oh, this person's doing it, I might as well. Right.
And we have to stay true to ourselves. We all have our own unique gifts.
Yes.
And we really, you know, as a makeup artist, it's become very saturated, it's very competitive, and it's easy to get caught up in feeling like you're not good enough, or, you know, everyone has their own unique style. Everyone has their own fingerprint in it, and you have to be confident in yourself. So I really tell people to know yourself and to follow what your gifts are. So if someone's good in math, you know, or someone's good in science, or someone else is good in writing or reading, or whatever it is that you're good at, if you're good at art, you follow what it is that you know you'll be successful at. And education is so important. Education.
Yeah, no, that's no matter what you want to do, education is the first thing.
Absolutely. I mean, even as a makeup artist, I educate myself on products, technology, changes in trends, you know, what's popular, what is coming off the runway. You always have to stay up in whatever field you're in.
This industry, the beauty industry, it just changes in seconds. So you really have to keep yourself educated.
Ahead of the curve.
And a lot of times I've noticed, you know, most of my brides, I should say, they've already done their homework. It's almost like when you go to buy a car now these days, you know more about the car than the salesman sometimes, isn't it? So, and I think that's the same kind of idea with the makeup industry, and so I find that difficult sometimes. So I have to keep myself kind of informed, you know, how to approach their questions or whatnot. So I totally get it. But education, like you said, especially for young women who are kind of vulnerable, maybe they just don't know which path to go. This is such a right message for them. You know, you have to follow your heart, right?
Absolutely.
And find what's good, what you're passionate about, and follow that.
Absolutely.
Now, this is the part I'm very, very excited about, because you received the Presidential Gold Medal for Volunteerism from the White House. I mean, this has got to be the most, I mean, I don't even know how to say this. Well, you tell me.
It's huge, and I didn't bring it with me today. I actually, I received it on stage at the Ms. America pageant. It was the gold medal for volunteerism for over 1,000 hours in community service. We received it as a group collectively, me and the other contestants on stage. But it meant so much to me because I have been doing community service since I'm a very young girl. I would volunteer any opportunity I could. I would feed the homeless. I would make meals for homeless shelters. I was always doing something, so I felt
such a
like,
good soul.
Thank you.
That brings us to end of this episode. I hope you liked this segment. If you enjoyed this episode and would like to see more related topics or want to be on the show as a guest, please email me at limelightwithmasuma@gmail.com or call at 703-646-0098. So until we meet again, stay happy, stay healthy, and enjoy life.